Welcome to the King Moolah TV podcast, y'all. It's about to be a doozy. Let me just tell y'all right now, if you have not been on the internet right now, I'm just going to tell you right now. If you have not been on the internet, oh man. Let me just tell y'all something, bro. If you have not been on the internet, the reason why I'm just pausing right now because wow. A lot happened this week. In the past 2 weeks, a lot has happened. If you were on a social media hiatus, good for you, but if you wanted to come back and just check out on things, a lot has happened, and I'm sorry. Okay, let me just get straight into it. Okay, Kendrick Lamar and the Drake rap battle, rap beef in full effect, however you want to call it. We all know Kendrick on the Light That verse pretty much ignited it, and then Cole, threw some shots back, but he quickly apologized because it didn't sit right in his spirit. Love that. Wish the best for Cole. But it really was between Kendrick and Drake responded. What did he respond with? What was the first thing he responded with? He responded with, excuse me, sorry, push-ups and tailor-made freestyle or something like that. Yeah. So he responded with like 2 diss songs. They're pretty cool. Commercial wise, yeah, it's Drake, so it's his fan base, which is like worldwide, is gonna eat it up, and this, that, and the other. But let's see. Yeah, push-ups. Really? Okay, hold on. Let me wait. Okay, yeah. So push-ups was push-ups in the tailor-made freestyle. Pretty much. Yeah, that's Drake's response. And Kendrick responded back with Euphoria. That was like, the more you listen to it, the better it gets. Wow. So many layers packed into that almost 7 minute diss track. It is a certified diss. Drake responded with, wait, not even if. Kendrick also had a leak diss. He didn't leak it. I think he put it on his Instagram, but he didn't put it on his streaming. As of the time of this recording, he didn't put it on none of his. He didn't put it on for music streaming, so it's on his Instagram if you want to see it, or you can check YouTube. A lot of hip hop pages have that. The second song, this song from Kendrick, it's called 616 in LA. And Drake responded with Family Matters. And after not even that long ago, Kendrick dropped again with what did he call it? Meet the Grahams. Meet the Grahams. So I'm not sure who dropped first, because honestly, I didn't. I'm gonna just say that Drake dropped and then Kendrick dropped immediately after, just based on the comments that I read. But yeah, it was crazy. I think Drake should bow out at this point, because he's got him packed up. Okay, now commercial wise, Drake beats does sound better, but these are 2 different styles. We got a commercial artist versus a rap purist. A rap purist is gonna do it every time. In hip hop, that's what rap is about. Rapping, especially when you call it rap beef, rap battles. The rap purist it has the home advantage. Clearly, commercial artists are only good for one thing: trying to make commercial hits. That's it. But rap purists, they do stuff for the culture. They move the culture forward. It's not about money. It's not about none of that. It's not about notoriety. It's about what's moving the culture. And Kung Fu Kenny the Butcher, Kendrick Lamar, he's moving culture with this. I have not been so excited about like listening to music like this. It's been a while since he's dropped. He hasn't dropped in a minute since Mr. Morale and the man. That was a great album, by the way. It's really good, really good. But now we got man, so much. I love it. I love it. But with that being said, let's actually get into the topic at hand, which is the internet. Now, I'm definitely gonna make this probably one of my longest episodes. It has to be because I said I was gonna go break it down in one of my earlier podcast episodes, and now now it is that time. It is time for me to do that. All right. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. All right. So, let me just pull up this thing really quick. Gotta have notes. Gotta know where you start. Gotta keep the focus on, man. There's no point in trying to go in it with raw emotion. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I'm seasoned now. Like I'm 12. This is my 12th episode. Okay, this is my 12th episode in doing for my podcast. Okay, I should already know what I should be doing and how I want to execute it and this, that, and the other. Having notes and having everything like that. Come on now. That's the makings of a great podcast person. Okay, so I'm gonna do that. So let me okay, I'm here. So all right. So the first thing about the internet, what a wonderful thing it is, right? Because you heard me talking about what was happening on the internet, how social media was ablaze throughout this whole week, and last week, and even pretty much for the whole month, pretty much for like a month or two ish. It's just been on fire lately, and I've been tuning in and out. I don't spend that much time on social media anymore, but man, I do like I'm more meaningful when I'm on social media. Like I'm not here just to waste time and troll other people and do none of that goofy stuff that a lot of people be doing, that wasting time, who ain't have no lives, who need to touch grass and all that. But listen, this, like, I move engaged on social media now. Like I move with intention of wanting to either learn something, wanting either laugh at something, or have a good time, or have a meaningful discussion, moving ideas forward, because conversation is supposed to move us forward and make us progress as a people. As a world community on social media, we should be able to do that, have healthy discourse without nothing, no bashing, no name calling, no snooty remarks, no backhanded compliments, stuff like that. And a lot of that stuff goes on there, but that's why you got to be able to discern who is actually here for a real conversation and who isn't, because there's a lot of people who isn't, and there are going to be some who are going to disguise themselves as they are, but they're not. And I'm actually going to save that pretty much point for the last, but for right now, well, actually, it all ties in. It all ties in. The internet, what a wonderful thing. It can be it's a place for world communication. You could talk to somebody from all over the world, wherever you're at. You can just meet up with people, talk to people, communicate with others, share and exchange information, good information, bad information, all in between. The internet is an amazing place. It's a great place, and it's pushing us. It can push us forward as a society, or it can hold us back. But it all depends on how you use it and how you've been taught to use it. Now, most people on the internet, since its inception, if you weren't really taught how to use it or have any type of ethics, honestly, the ethics comes from outside of the internet, but there is ethics for how to use the internet. And being young and watching technology go from like very little influence in our lives until like a major influence into our lives. It's amazing to see this type of change and, like, the standards that come with it. But this is pretty much I'm pretty much going to touch into internet etiquette. So the ethics pretty much of internet, being on the internet. What should you be doing on the internet? I mean, you can do it all, practically do a bunch on the internet, but honestly, you should be doing things that are helping, not hurting, not harming, no threatening, none of that anti race, or none of the hate speech, pretty much, and things that can come in a threatening manner. And that's been used throughout the internet since it became such a big thing and a part of our lives. But internet etiquette is just pretty much me. If I'm just gonna put it in one sentence, um, it can come from the golden rule that I know at least I've been taught, and I feel like most public people who went to public school have been taught this, but treat others how you want to be treated. Pretty much, that's internet etiquette in a nutshell. Treat others how you want to be treated. You know, if you're looking to hurt somebody, just expect somebody to try to hurt you back, because that's like it makes sense. Like, why would you want to hurt somebody if and you think they wouldn't defend themselves, or you think that they wouldn't hurt themselves, wouldn't try to hurt you if you're trying to hurt them? Like, you're causing more harm than good on the internet. Yeah, we can see that. Internet is kind of lawless, kind of, but there's certain channels that are heavily monitored. There's certain channels that are not as heavily monitored, but there's some sort of balance between the two. There should be, at least. Not everything is going to be good. Not everything is going to be bad. There's just really going to be a middle ground, and there can be an oversaturation of things in one point and undersaturation in others, but in other things. But pretty much what you need to do, you make the most of what you can get out of the internet. Is a great place. You can do great things there, but you also have to be cautious of what's going on. There's a lot of tomfoolery going on the internet, with scamming and people doing more illegal acts and fraud and all of that. It's a lot that goes on in the internet. So pretty much, let me tell y'all something, man. The internet is, I like it, but I like having the balance between the two. Like, the internet is not my life. I have a life outside of the internet, but I love using it. I love coming to it and then engaging it in an intentional way, because that's how I make the most of my time on social media whenever I need to do something. But I like technology. I like the internet and all of that, everything that comes with it. So I'm mainly observing and stuff like that now. I know I probably was just a little more of a keyboard person at this time, but I've slowed up. I don't do it as much as I used to, as in being like a person who like gets into it with like a lot of different accounts. It's not, I don't do it as much anymore. I mainly do it just to start real discussions. You know, that's what I mainly use it for, to start real discussions, to have fun. Like I said before, to engage in a meaningful way that allows me to progress as a person. It allows me to learn new things that I can apply to my life now. It's just the internet etiquette, and I think I'm gonna explain some general rules that can be used outside, but yeah, it can be used outside of the internet and on the internet. But let me just start as, like I said, the golden rule was treat others how you want to be treated. Like I said, no bashing. Like, really, why are you there? Just to cause trouble? If you're really there just to cause trouble, or cause trouble and then like hide your hand, those people that throw rocks but then they hide their hand like they did nothing wrong and that somebody just attacked them just because. No, those type of people you got to watch out for too. There's a bunch of delusional people on the internet too. There's a lot of people who can't read. There's a lot of people who have who have short attention spans. So it's like hard for them to actually discourse in a meaningful way. You got to look out for that. These are the things that you got to look out for. I might give you like one example, but let me go through some of the rules that I kind of move with while I'm in the that I move with while I'm in the internet. So, you know, what am I looking for? What's your goal? The goal is to not really cause trouble. Okay, so one the first rule: treat others how you want to be treated. Second rule: do not excuse me, cause trouble. Like, three, do not engage in any threatening behavior. Okay, because you can definitely get put on a high profile list of something like that if you're out here saying threatening things to other people, and you can definitely get incriminated for what you say online. So, be very careful and be respectful. Be respectful, because that ties into treat others how you want to be treated. Okay, it's very general stuff, but treat others how you want to be treated is a very broad statement. So that's why I'm breaking it down into subcategories so that you understand what's being respectful. Talk to people talk to people in a kind manner. Engage in people with trying to learn something or trying to help with something. This is what we're here to do, to help each other. We are a social human race, and we should be able to help each other out, not all this fluff of everybody going back and forth and engaging in toxic behavior. And that's pretty much what social media has become on certain platforms, big platforms, major platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. A lot of that can have those type of discourse, but mainly Twitter is the big one, with like people acting like in a cesspool of debauchery and just all out nasty toxic behavior that is unacceptable, really, and should not be accepted in a society, because it's not right for people to act this way towards each other, or never have any accountability for their actions, just because there's a lot of people that get away with like bullying and like a lot of just pure clownery. Now, some things may be funny on there where the person deserves to be clowned and stuff like that, but just a lot of engaging over there has been negative. It's been oversaturated with negativity, and there's just a lot of debauchery going on, especially on Twitter. Not a good thing at all. So it's just ridiculous. I don't get it. I think social media is a gift to us to be able to communicate properly with each other, but everybody wants to, well, not everybody, but a lot of the pages I used to be on, where it's just a breeding ground for toxicity, I stopped following those pages, and like my algorithm has gotten a lot better since. So like, on what you engage with, I know there's a lot of farming out there. There's a lot of data mining. Well, data mining, yeah, but that's mainly done by companies and stuff like that. It's not really what I was trying to touch on, but that's a problem too. But that's also on a grander scale of the internet, and like data farming is just, it's annoying, and there's a lot of. But I do want to talk about censorship on here. I definitely will talk about censorship on this episode. It's a big problem. I'm probably not going to dive too deep into it, but it's a problem that I see what major social media platforms have engaged in, based on certain ideals and concepts that they either are familiar with or are trying to suppress, because it might make people feel a certain way. It might make people do something. It might make people learn. Yeah, there's certain censorship that um, that don't allow people to learn from these concepts, these ideals that can actually help us progress as a society. Because censorship is only good for like kids who should not be engaging into anything social media. Really, kids shouldn't even be on social media at all until they're about uh, teenagers. You got to monitor the teenagers, but any kid below teenage should not be on social media at all. Okay, no social media whatsoever, because there's no point for them to be on there. It's not a good place. It's not good for them. It does nothing for them. It does not progress their life because they don't know how to engage in it properly. And a lot of parents really need to know how to control their usage of the internet. Like, I get it, like they're more immersed. The newer generation, I guess they call it Generation Alpha, they're definitely born into technology, so it's a part of their everyday life. But there's certain aspects where you need to protect them away from the internet, because the internet can be a very ugly place in certain times of the day, or in certain channels and forums or blogs or websites, platforms, all of that. And honestly, we got to be careful because the children need to keep their innocence. There's a lot of things in the social media or internet space where um, it can alter the reality of the children, alter their mindset and their how they feel about certain things, or if they're being introduced into something that is way above their level of comprehension. Yeah, they should not be on there. So censorship, like I was saying, censorship is only good for kids, so we got to do that until, like, I say teenage, late teens, but honestly, I really want to say like 18, until they're considered an adult, at least by U.S. standards. Because it can be a cool thing for them to like listen to like kids bop music or something like that. Just do regular kid things. Like, there's space for them on kids. There being schoolwork and school educational programs and educational games, and kid friendly games, kid friendly content, movies, films, all of that. That's perfectly fine. But it still needs to be filtered throughout with the parents, and the parents need to know how to navigate with a growing world, navigate their child in a world full of technology, to where they might beg for the latest technological device that they really shouldn't be getting until they're actually able to demonstrate that they know how to, that they understand like what the internet is, or they've been properly explained to what to look out for, what to avoid. If they want to have a conversation about something, that they should be able to have a safe space to talk about it without getting in trouble, because they have a growing mind like all of us. We're growing and we need to know these things. We need to engage in healthy conversations, because that's how we make society better. Shunning people or getting them in trouble or whatever the case may be, um, you know, whatever the case may be, I think we should really be mindful of how early we give kids technological devices, ones that can connect to the internet. Game systems and all that is, they're a little more heavily filtered with kids. Especially when you put like their age or on there, on certain games, or on a lot of games, at least from what I'm seeing. So, I think it is very important to filter out these things for these kids, because they really need that type of guidance and that type of protection from the internet until they are ready to fully understand what the internet is and how to navigate through them without getting themselves into any kind of trouble, or without to look out for any to be cautious and to look out for anything that doesn't serve them, it doesn't align with what they're doing. So the internet, the social media of yesterday is, well, more so like back then when it social media first came about. It was a lot more nostalgic, of course. It was a lot more simple. It was a lot of very easy to use programs, not major security features, because there wasn't that much going on with that. But a lot of, but as soon as well, actually, that there's a since I've been learning about like the coming of the internet and how the social media came about, I already know like how worms and malware and viruses came about, because I've been in a class for it. So it came as early as the internet, but it wasn't implemented on a large scale because, well, the internet wasn't that big back then in the 1970s, 80s, and stuff like that. So let's just focus on pretty much the early 2000s, when most people were starting to get somewhat into the internet. And I think it's amazing how it's progressed from then. But I mean, the internet back then was so fun, at least for me, because it's nostalgic. You got computer. This is when it wasn't, laptops wasn't that big. It was more so desktops. The computer games on the Windows. I know other people had Macintosh, but that was mainly the schools that I was in. They had Macintosh, but at my house we had Windows, nice Windows XP, Windows 97, Windows XP, really fun. Computer games was amazing. Internet wasn't as fast, but it was still fun to be on. MySpace was a thing. MySpace was amazing, and honestly, I wish we hadn't abandoned MySpace for Facebook, but I'm just leave it right there. Yeah. But back then, it really seemed like the internet was used for a lot more uh, good, even though there was obviously like bad back then, but right now it's more glorified, like that people are doing that because people are do not actually understand what the real problem is with this thing that we call social media. Back then it was, you know, new, everybody's getting into it, but there was a lot of bad going on. Actually, now is probably better on the scale of like finding out creeps and all of that, because they had some protection back then, because it was really hard. Well, not really hard, I should say, but it was really more so they were getting away with a lot back then, a lot, and it is ridiculous what was going on back then. We got MySpace, but let me go focus more so on the nostalgia. Since I mentioned MySpace, there was AOL, Hotmail, um, like the computer desktop games. You got the amazing websites, Flash games, best things that came out. I wish I could find. Well, I probably can find the old websites that I used to go. What was it? Miniclip. I think that's what I used to play off of. That was dope. And also like the major networks like Nickelodeon had their games, Cartoon Network and Disney Channel. All those websites back then, man. The games there were certain games that I couldn't play because of Flash and this, that, and the other, and they didn't really have them installed, especially in the school. But when I got home, I think I had them installed for the most part. We had them installed for the most part. And that was fun, man. Everything was fun on there. Like, everything was so cool on the internet. When it comes to that nostalgia, oh man, I really like nostalgia, but yeah, that was really fun. And whatever else you guys can think of, because I honestly can't. I'm honestly not. I don't think remember anymore at this time. So it's pretty cool. That nostalgia back then, man. I loved it back then. You know, you when you're a kid and you just, playing games on there and exploring the internet, it was kind of fun. It was a fun time. But we still was able to go outside and not have our life immersed in technology. This is the early 2000s, I'm saying. So at least for me, I've had a good balance between the internet and actually being a kid, growing up, while seeing internet technology evolve and the internet evolve into what it is today. So back then, the internet was more so used for, like, well, at least for me, because I really, in my perspective, it's just I was using it for flash games and computer desktop games and music. Well, no, that was more so my the older generation that was using LimeWire and Frost, I think, for, well, some pirated activities. But there was a lot of that going on back then too. A lot of that, like I said, the internet wasn't all good, but for me as a kid, just seeing how it it shaped how everything is was really something that needed to be seen, and I really appreciate that era of technology because there's nothing like it. Nothing like it. And now we fast forward to today, and internet is a lot faster. We There's no dial up. It's more cable. We got Wi-Fi heavily and mostly everywhere that you go. So you can be. Um, it's like hard to be without Wi-Fi. We got streaming platforms now like Spotify, Apple Music, and Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. We got all with all their collections and stuff like that. There's a lot that's been that we've been doing from back then in 2000s till now. There's a little more censorship now because back then it wasn't that censored. It was really hard to censor people, or at least it just wasn't happening on a grand scale. Now there's a lot more technology to where major platforms can censor uh, whatever that they want. Not necessarily bad things, because sometimes the good things get censored as well, based on algorithm, this, that, and the other, whatever the case may be. But that's just what it is on the internet. So yeah, so like the internet is it's a wild place, honestly. But one now that I'm like understanding fully what's going on with the internet, I want to say there's a lot that is being glorified. Now I could tie it back into my next last point about the internet. It's a ride, man. The internet is pretty cool, but the internet today may need a reset. To be honest, um, let me pause this for a second. All right. All right. So what I was getting on, the glorification of negativity on social media. Listen, the glorification of negativity on social media, like I was saying before, a lot of this stuff, like a lot of toxic behavior, is being glorified, and there's a lot of name calling, there's a lot of bashing, there's a lot of nonsense going on. All right, y'all, look, the glorification and negativity on social media. Like I told you before, there's a little bit too much praise and glorification of toxic behaviors that can be including the DV, domestic violence. Um, trash behavior, no accountability, bashing, really bad name calling, that can go to extreme levels of reported cases. Um, so yeah, how to actually combat that? Let me just tell y'all this. World Star, we heard that before. That's usually when a fight happens. And I ain't gonna lie, I engaged in that back then. World Star. I engaged back in World Star when all it was mainly fights and a lot of debauchery going on that too. And they had a website, and it was fun as a kid, but I realized, I mean, at some point I disengaged with it like years ago. That, also other harmful platforms or accounts like media blogs that really only promote the toxicity, especially within the black culture, like the Shade Room and you know what's that? Yeah, Shane Room, World Star, and others around it, like also Spiritual World Word is kind of getting on that too, but like Hollywood Unlocked, just all that, all those rap for sure, um, just a lot of accounts that are showing you that they don't really care about the culture. They more so just want to sell you a story. They want engagement. And the thing is, in order to combat that from an individualistic stance, but I'm going to tie it to the greater good, is to not engage at all, unfollow. Like, people always think that unfollowing big major pages, it means nothing because of how much people they actually have, how many followers they actually have. That's what it seems like at the top. But as soon as, because if everybody had the mindset of not wanting to engage with these accounts, oh man, would they lose so much engagement? Would they lose so much notoriety? Would they lose their status super fast? Like, it's like dropping a stone on the ground. They would drop. Like, all of that would drop. Everything about what they yeah, everything about what they created, what they built up based on the negativity of black culture and what's surrounding it, or just the American culture in general, because I'm mainly in the US of A. So that's mainly what I'm seeing in these social media platforms. And so yeah, if any of those accounts were to lose engagement, at least lose, if they were to lose at least 20 to 25% of their engagement, they would take a bad hit. So imagine if they took more than half away. And I'm not saying that it can't happen. I know some people may think that it might not happen, but you never know. You don't know that. There's a report of us missing. There's like a solar storm, like this, that could wipe out our internet for weeks, up to months, and stuff like that. So without that engagement, what would they do with their lives? It's a lot. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people would need that to happen in order to, a lot of people who need to touch grass should do that. And I may have touched about it on one of my early episodes. I don't know yet. Maybe not. But I'm saying this now just to make it fresh and new again. Um, Look, it's amazing to see. It would be amazing to see something like that. I mean, we had the pandemic, and guess what? I mean, a lot of things happened, good and bad, and it's honestly, overall, I think it was good for people to see things in a different light, without everybody just being so busy. Everybody had a chance to sit down and stay still and see what was really going on, and I think that was a great thing to see. I think it was amazing for me. The pandemic, it was great for me because, I mean, I don't know. It helped me. Actually, it was definitely right in the middle of the pandemic. It's one of the best years I've ever had in my life, and I really, really loved that period of time. for me because it was amazing, and I love to be in that, immersed in that, whenever it was happening. It was amazing. But yeah, like the glorification of the negativity we see on social media, how are we going to combat it? Is to not engage. Simple as that. Do not engage. If you see something that's disturbing and it doesn't sit right with your spirit, disengage, detach from it, because you do not have to comment on it. You do not have to engage in it at all. You don't have to like it. You don't have to share it. You don't have to do anything to it, because this is what they feed off of, your engagement. They feed off of your time, and they're kind of like bloodsuckers. They're vampires, just wanting to grab your attention, and does not really matter how they get your attention. They just want to have your attention and want you to actually double tap or click on one of them so that they can get the engagement that they're looking for, meet a quota or whatever the case may be, but ultimately sell you a story so that you can be engaged into this never ending pulpit of, well, never ending cesspool, let me say that, never ending cesspool of negativity. Okay, so pretty much if everyone were to not engage with these places at all, I mean, not places, but platforms, accounts, not engaging in it fully, taking a lot of their time back for themselves and putting it into more productive and things that could help better out their lives, that could better society. Because not engaging in the negativity really, really can help the world become a better place. That's tying it up to the greater good. Okay, it can help us achieve a greater good, a more progressive society, because like there's no reason to really engage and stuff like that, because what's the point? They want to sell us negativity. I know there's a lot of emotions that come into play, and I haven't really addressed that yet, but I feel like you got to be able to maneuver around places like that, and the best way to maneuver is to not engage at all, is to be unfollowed into them. Don't follow nobody who's following them, because the algorithm picks up on that too for some reason, because they think that whoever you follow, whatever that they follow, is something that you'll be interested in, and that's not how it works, because that's not what humans are. Humans are dynamic, and we can like all sorts of things, but I'm speaking strictly on what we want to see, versus what the algorithm may feed us, might suggest to us just based on how we engage in on their platforms. And that's pretty much what all it comes down to. There are certain times where it doesn't always match up with what we engage into, and we have to be able to just either ignore it completely, or maybe tell them to not show us this. But even then, I feel like telling the algorithm or that picks it up, or the team that picks it up, that we don't want to see this, makes them want to put it on our feed more, which is crazy, because apparently as long as you engage in it, they're gonna start showing more of it, and I've been seeing that. So the best choice is just to not engage at all. And now that I have actually in practice applied that, I haven't been seeing nothing crazy, no crazy posts or nothing like that. I want to see the posts that I want to see from the accounts that I want to see, because I like engaging in content that and accounts that I actually support. I don't want to just look at any random pages and just feel like they're just trying to tell me something like that. Now, there's something called our algorithm. So I'm mainly speaking on Instagram. It's like our algorithm. So what I mainly engage with, the accounts I engage with, I want to see them on my timeline. The explore page is to explore, but I'm not trying to explore any other pages. I'm just trying to explore the pages that I follow, in chronological order, but they still haven't brought that back. Mm-mm. But yeah, the trying to combat the negativity and is just not to engage in it at all. You like the late great Nipsey Hussle said, you just got to let that clown stuff die off. Just let it go. It will. It's like a ticking time bomb, and it's like a trend and trends never last. They always change. They always changed. So it's always good to stand firm in your truth and your ethics and how you were raised and your upbringing, because that's what's going to keep you sane and what's going to distinguish you being somebody who's a follower versus somebody who's a leader who believes in what they actually believes on what they stand for, whether they learned it as a kid, in their upbringing, or if they just learned it now and they switched their ideologies and has actually got the information to make the best decision for themselves for their life. It all ties in. It all ties in for the greater good. We gotta get back to that. We gotta keep doing that. Listen, this is what we gotta do to take out the internet. The internet can be a great place, but there's a lot of nonsense on there, and you gotta be able to navigate through that. You got to. Okay, there's a lot that goes on the internet that you need to be able to handle, and kids should not be on there at all because they can't handle most of the stuff that comes with it. It's a lot of emotions, but there's a lot of kids on there. I know I was on the internet young, and I didn't really know no better, and I was engaging in stuff that I should not have been engaging in, but that's just what it is for somebody. But that's only to say that my parents are old. They didn't really understand technology. They still kind of are like, technology is a lot harder for them, especially now, because it's not all simple as it used to be back then. But it's kind of adapted on certain things, but still, on others they're still having trouble with. But this is what it is. Like, honestly, I'm at a point where I want to, like, the rules that I mentioned before, I want to put that out on the forefront. I want that to be a big thing. And I don't see, what's crazy? There's a lot of pages that are not even promoting internet safety, internet privacy, security. It's mostly just something you see in like the terms and conditions or the privacy policy, or terms of service or use on the platform. It's not really said out in the forefront and on major accounts, even good or bad ones, not even on major accounts for real. Just nobody's really talked about how you should navigate. And since nobody's really said much of anything about it, I think I'm actually gonna start putting that on now, just on my account, and this, that, and the other. How do you move through the internet? Maybe might do something else with it, but for now, I'm just want to promote internet safety and that on. Like, I do see. Okay, so I do. I'm not gonna say that it's not out there, but I do see, because I have seen accounts try to promote internet safety and stuff like that, but it's not major at all. Not major at all, because most of the negativity is being engaged with. None of the positive stuff, or none of the stuff that is bringing in information for you to discern how to move about and navigate through the internet. What's this, what's that, misinformation, disinformation, or just information in general. I think this is something that we need to understand fully, and that's something that we need to get into. So then, with that being said, you guys have a great Saturday weekend. Drink water, hydrate, move with intentions, move with positive intentions, treat the way that you want to be treated. And I'm out of here, y'all. I'm out of here.